is Yosemite Park, the mecca of rock climbers. This is Alex Hannold, arguably one of the greatest rock climbers in the entire history. He is known for a climbing style called free solo, which means climbing without a rope. This is El Capitan. This is a 2,300 meters stone that has, well, as you see, it's almost vertical, that has been the holy grail of rock climbers ever since they discovered it in Yosemite Park. And Alex Hannold is the first person in history that climbed El Capitan without a rope. His journey, literally to the top, was filmed and put together in a documentary. The documentary follows Alex's journey from his relentless preparation through his studying of the routes and possibilities of overtaking obstacles that were really difficult, all the way to the moment when he was supposed to climb but didn't because he didn't feel it, just to come back stronger and hungrier a few months later and climb it all the way to the top, becoming the first person in history to achieve this without a rope. Now, after I watched Free Solo, the documentary, which by the way won an Oscar, and won an Oscar in all fairness for the great athletic achievement, and also for the way Alex Hannold is pushing the human boundaries and inspires achieving greatness by getting out of your comfort zone. But when I watched it, at the end, I couldn't help but feel conflicted. And I felt conflicted because while I admired the athletic achievement, I couldn't help but notice the problematic lifestyle that Alex had, like, throughout the entire documentary. Because we spot in this documentary dysfunctional relationships, inability to express his emotions, and behaviors that are deemed unhealthy by probably all psychologists. Now, his girlfriend throughout the entire documentary is seen most of the time crying. Alex goes against the better judgment of his friends, more experienced rock climbers, and even his film crew, who had like the biggest interest to push him to go, but they're petrified during the climb. Now, the documentary suggested, and Hannold later on made it public, that he is suffering from depression. This on top of having Asperger's syndrome, which is a disorder from the autism spectrum, which is actually giving him the fearlessness. And the thing is that in not a single moment throughout the entire documentary, we see Hannold seeking professional help from a psychotherapist. Now, let's zoom out a little bit, because every week, if not every day lately, we're talking in media and social media about mental health issues. But we praise heroes that are clearly suffering from untreated mental illnesses and mental disorders. And I can't help but think that with doing this, we are paving a new road to new generations that are showing that this is somehow normality. Like, going through extreme behaviors, going through extreme emotions seems like it's something normal. And it's a problem because like this, we might be jeopardizing the future of our children and new generations of actually discerning between what's healthy behavior and what's an unhealthy behavior. Let's look at other heroes that we have in our recent history. We've got Michael Jackson, an amazing pop music legend, but he's the black person that always wanted to be white. I'm no psychologist, but there must be something wrong there, and not mentioning his other predilections. We've got Steve Jobs, a business genius and an innovator, but this is a person that was characterized by people close to him as having some traits that are mostly associated with bipolar disorder, OCD, and depression. Jim Carrey, is a comedic genius, but he's openly talked about his depression and ADHD. Now, all these heroes, what they're telling us in media is that we should never give up. We should go and be hungry and always push the boundaries. But what nobody is teaching us is when to stop, when to quit. Because sometimes the healthiest thing is to quit, to stop and reassess your goals. Maybe it's time that we look at these heroes not as a whole and stop praising them as a whole, but just take skills or traits from them. From Hannold, we can take perseverance, of course. From Steve Jobs, we can take attention to detail. From Jim Carrey, we can take storytelling skills. But what the world needs and what the world is starving for is normality. And it's up to us to build a more normal normality. We need to look more for role models that are showing us balance rather than extreme behaviors. We need to look at people like maybe the bus driver that you're meeting in the morning and he's there greeting you from his simple seat in his steady job, or the cashier that is sharing her thoughts whether she's having a good day or a bad day. Those are balanced people. Those are people that we need to incorporate more in our lives and look up to. Because this is what the world needs. This is what we need to do for ourselves and for the future generations. Thank you.